There's some things about being a student athlete that ain't sweet. And today we're going to get into it. And I'm not saying this to scare you, and I'm not saying this to be negative, because the fact of the matter is me being a student athlete was the best thing that ever happened to me. And you need to know that coming into it. And if this scares you, then you should probably reconsider being a student athlete, because all this is true. There's no cap in my raps. All right. All this stuff is true. So you can take all this stuff to the bank and back. The first thing is this. The ugly side of being a student athlete is understanding that you have an extra set of parents. You have an extra set of parents at school. So these other people they're not student athletes, they don't mail your grades home. They don't call your parents when you're getting in trouble. You have to be in a lot of trouble for the school to call your parents. They're not gonna call your parents because you missed some classes. This ain't high school. But if you're a student athlete, you got an extra set of parents there that's paying attention to what's going on, because you are a vested interest for them. They want to make sure you're going to classes. They want to make sure you have grades taken care of, because you got to stay eligible. So you got an extra person in your business, whether you like it or not. If that is too much in your business, then being a student athlete is not for you. That's the first thing you got to understand. You're going to lose some privacy. They get to dictate, especially if you're on scholarship, they get to dictate things like who's going to be your roommate. They get to dictate what classes you're going to take. Some of your classes may conflict with practice. You think you're going to take those classes? Wrong. You ain't taking those classes. Pick something else. Pick something else. And if that is upsetting to you, then again, it's not for you. I will say this: to call a spade, these rules, as far as picking a different class, that you may be exempt for that rule if you are the best on the team. If we're playing basketball and you're averaging 30 and grabbing 10 rebounds, then we can have a conversation, because we want to keep you. But if you just a role player and you want to major in aviation aeronautics and it clashes with my doggone practice schedule, nah, player, pick another major. All right, pick another major.
And my next point I want to make about you being a student athlete is part of the ugly truth is understanding that you're in a fishbowl. Understand, when you have a dog or a cat in the house and that dog or cat craps in the house or urinates in the house somewhere, it takes a minute to go find it. It takes a minute because you have to smell it and you have to, sniff for it. Something smells off. Something's going on. You got to go searching for it. And that dog or cat that you have in your house, that represents a normal student that is not a student athlete. They can get away with things and, if it's not detected, then it's just like out of sight, out of mind. But when you represent the university, much like you do as a student athlete, you're not a dog or a cat. You're a fish in a fishbowl. When you use the bathroom, everybody can see it. It's for the world to see. And I need you to understand that. It's not fair, but it's definitely reality to understand that there's going to be a magnifying glass on you that is going to be a lot harsher than it would be if you're just a regular student. Regular students don't have to worry about that. Regular students can kind of just do their thing, and they're not as recognizable. But a lot of student athletes are muscle bound. They look athletic. They're tall, right? There's a look of a student athlete because they're always in the gym. They're always working out. So you're going to stick out a lot more than a regular student athlete who just goes to chemistry class and back. And this is not me trying to say a sob story. It's just the reality of it. So you got to understand that extra spotlight is going to be on you. You're in a fishbowl, and you're in a fishbowl primarily because whether you like it or not, you're an ambassador for the university. You're one of the representatives of the university, much like a faculty member, a professor, staff member, people who work at the university. That's how they look at you, because you represent the university. So if you do something boneheaded, people look at it like, oh, that's how that university is. Versus if you were just a normal student, a regular student, they don't make those connotations. Again, I'm not saying it's fair, but I'm definitely telling you that it is reality. Your life is in the fishbowl. Be ready to be ridiculed on some of the most minuscule things. What you said on social media, what you're wearing, who you're talking, who's your friend, all this stuff comes into consideration. And I just need you to be mindful of that. I need you to be mindful of that. Don't be scared of it, but definitely be mindful of it.
All right, let's go to number 2. Number 2, I don't know how many I'm going to share with you today. Stay to the end. I'm writing them on the side of me so y'all can keep track, but stay to the end because it's a lot of information. Number 2, let's see. You're not more than your sport. People always say that I'm more than an athlete. You're not. That's the ugly side of what you're doing here. You're not more than your sport. And I say that because you're not more than what you don't nurture. You got to put in time to do those things. And if you're not putting in time, then you don't just get that. People like to say that stuff because it's cute or their favorite celebrity said it. But at the end of the day, man, you got to invest in those other parts of you. Okay? If you're just school and your sport, that's what you are. You are what you repeatedly do over and over again. I think that's an Aristotle quote. So again, I'm not saying you can't be, but I don't want you to kid yourself and believing you are just by default, just because you're just a person. I'm a more than, yeah, you got to work on those other things as well. You got to work on those things as well. I understand you're a son, you're a daughter, you may be an aunt, you may be an uncle, you may be a cousin, you may be all those things. But at the end of the day, you're going to be recognized by what you do most often and what you nurture. And what I'm trying to tell you, I'm not trying to limit you. What I'm saying is you need to get out there and do those other things you want to do as well. You're not any more competitive. You're not any more focused. You're not any more of a beast, a dog, a mamba mentality for you not to focus on other things as well. You are multifaceted, and you got to make sure you nurture those things as well. My next point is this. I want you to be known when it's all said and done. The ugly side of being a student athlete is you're in a position right now to be known for nothing other than your sport. And I want you to break out of this. I want you to make it a priority to make sure that campus knows you for being more than just your sport. That's gonna require you to get out your bubble. That's gonna require you to talk to people that may not look like you, dress like you, act like you, from your same sports at all. That's gonna require you to do that, and that's fine. That's a good thing. All right. Next point is this is a business transaction. If you weren't bringing anything to the table that was desirable for the other side of the table, then they wouldn't know your name, okay? And if they weren't bringing anything that you thought it was desirable, you wouldn't know their name. So it's a match made in heaven if you're doing your job and they're doing their job. Don't get romantic about this. Oh, this person's a father figure or a mother figure. No, they're not. They're not, okay? They're not your father figure. They're not your mother figure. They're a businessman or a businesswoman that happens to have a whistle around their neck. They're trying to make sure they represent the university the right way, win games on budget. That's what they are. Okay, that's what they are. Until proven otherwise, and you won't know this until you look through the rear view after you graduate. You won't know this while you're driving. Okay. That's not their job to be your father figure, your mother figure. Your father figure and your mother figure, if you have good parents, they make decisions for you that don't even benefit them. They make it for you because they love you so much. That's not coach's job. They can't save their job at the end of the year by saying, I made a lot of decisions that benefited them and not me. No. How many games did you win? How many guys are eligible? How many people graduate? How many times you have to go down there and get somebody out of jail because you recruited these boneheads and now they represent the university and now people don't even want to come out of school now? It's a conversation they have to have with their athletic director, okay? They're not your father figure or mother figure, at least not right now. Maybe in the future. At least not right now, okay? My next thing I would say is, what else? Well, I got my notes. Where my notes at, baby? Where my notes at? Oh, yes, right here. Nobody cares about your development, dude. Nobody cares about your development. People say that stuff. It sounds good on the brochure. We care about the student athlete more than the sport. Having worked in the space with student athletes for several years, having been a student athlete, I'm telling you, you got to prioritize it yourself. This is going to be you. I tell you all the time, when you go to a grocery store, when you go to a restaurant, everybody has all these recommendations. You should get this, you should try this, you do this. But at the end of the day, it's going to be you swiping your card. So you got to have some ownership over your process. You got to have some ownership over your process. You can't blame it on anybody else. A lot of these jokers that you see on a regular basis, you will not know them after you graduate, after you leave that university. They're not calling you. They're not calling you. It's going to be you. All right. So you got to prioritize your development if you want development outside of it. Everything they should do is just like icing on the cake. All right. No one cares about your grades. That's another point. No one cares about your grades. No one cares about your grades past you being average at 2.0. Bring that same mentality to your sport, they'll kick you out of your sport. But nobody cares about you being average at your grades because you're still eligible. Come on, man. Ain't no cap in my rap. Tell me where I'm lying. Nobody cares about you being average at your sport. Nobody cares about you being average at your grades. But you gotta care. You gotta have that same tenacity for your grades. Because guess what, player? It's hard out here. It's hard out here. I got a whole master's degree, and I went between a job, and I had to go to the doggone what's that? What they call them? What's it called? It's like a third party temp agents. And I was like, man, I got a master's degree. People don't care. That's why you got to be intentional about your doggone degrees you getting. You majored in communications, doggone kinesiology, spinning on my head, washing my hands with soap, underwater basket weaving, and you get out here in this real world, and it will eat you alive. I'm telling you, you got to make it count. Nobody cares about your grades but you. You got to prioritize it. I'm telling you, you got to prioritize it. This is a grown man, grown woman sport once you get in college. Ain't nobody going to hold your hand. Ain't nobody going to hold your hand. I'm trying to tell you. Not to the benefit of you. They'll hold your hand for them to make sure that they keep eating. They keep getting checks coming in. But you got to worry about you. You're not going to know any of these jokers after college. I'm telling you. Not even on Instagram. You're not going to keep track of them. My next point is this. There's no moral police. The ugly side of it is there's no moral police when it comes to sports. And I was under this mindset of like, if I played the right way, I was a good teammate. First one in the gym, last one to leave. Then I would be the most successful of all my teammates. Wrong. It's only based off performance. I need you to get this in your skull because this is not, the narrative has changed when I was a student athlete. When I was a student athlete, they preached it playing the right way. But now you got guys talking about some notable people that you've seen on TV bragging about coming to practice and playing games high and under the influence of this and that, and we stayed out all night. Now it's cool to say that, but back when I was coming up, it wasn't cool to say that. They looked at it like you were less focused. And this is not an endorsement for you to do drugs or anything like this. This is an endorsement for you to understand that just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to get something out of it that you want. That doesn't mean it's MVP. That doesn't mean it's scholarship. That doesn't mean you're on a team. That doesn't mean championships. They tell you to work hard because it's one of the only things you can do that is in your control. A lot of this other stuff, these variables are not in your control. Okay. But I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like the game owed me something because I played it the right way. But at the end of the day, somebody can play it the wrong way. Somebody can be a bad person and still do better than you at that sport. You put in so much working hard at your sport because it's supposed to make you more confident. There's some people who come in there with that confidence. It's just how they were socialized, when they came up as a kid, they just came up with a lot of confidence. There's some people that are just natural athletes. It happens. And if you think it's like anomaly of Allen Iverson being able to get away with it or Steven Jackson, no. Wait till you get to college. Every team has a couple of them. Natural freak athletes. You couldn't beat them with a mop handle to get them in the gym to work on their game. They just got it. And I'm not trying to tell you don't work hard. Keep doing your thing. But I don't want you to hold on to the game longer than it's holding on to you. So understand that the game, it's a vehicle. It's not the destination. It's there to get you from where you are to where you want to go. It can get you to the finest restaurants in this country. It can get you to the finest restaurants and hotels. It can get you to meeting people you wouldn't normally meet. It can get you to get your education paid for. It can get you to represent the university. It can get you all those things. But if you mistake the vehicle for the destination, once you get to the destination, you're gonna be lost because there's nowhere else to go. And I don't want that to be you. There's so many of my teammates right now that are still holding on to the game. We left college many years ago. They don't know what to do because they mistook the vehicle for the destination. Let's move on. Let's see. If you don't use it, you lose it. You heard this about your sport. You heard it like if you don't use it, you lose it. I mean, your athletic ability and all that stuff. But I mean, as far as resources. Yeah, resources. You got a lot of resources that you may not even know of in your university right now that's geared to you. Some of y'all get to register early before regular students. Y'all get to register classes before them. There's a resource that you're being able to benefit from. Mental health, this, and some of y'all have like nutrition departments that give y'all little snacks and stuff like that. So it's all great. But let me tell you something. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that's not going to be there always. There's not going to be, once you get done playing, once you get done representing that university, you try to come back and try to get those same resources, they're going to have to be escorted out by security. All right? There's always a new freshman every year. That's just one more inch for you to get up out of here. It sounds grim, but if this scares you, this is the ugly side of being a student athlete. You're replaceable. You're replaceable. You're like produce. Real produce, not some of the stuff they sell us, but real produce that you put it on the counter, it spoils after a while. Your shelf life isn't forever. You're not a non-perishable item. You're not a can of corn. You can just put out there and we can eat this right now. We can eat this a month away. Oh, 10 years away. No. Your time is short as being a student athlete. You got to make this count now. You got to benefit from these resources now, okay? Because you're not always going to be able to do that. You're not always going to be able to benefit from this. So I encourage you to jump on this now. Let's see. I talked about that. Here's the thing I say that's kind of mildly inappropriate, so I put it in the middle of the video. So the real people that they already dropped off the video, they don't get to hear this, and I don't get to be canceled about this. But I really look at student athletes, and kind of going back to what I said about coaches. I really look at student athletes as being OnlyFans models that happens to have jerseys on. What do I mean by that? They like you now because you're cute. You're young and you're cute. How many OnlyFans models are 80 years old, 70 years old? I don't know. I've been on the site, but I imagine it's not many, if any. All right? As far as you being a student athlete right now, you're hot, you're young. People want to talk to you now. They want to talk to you right now because you're what's happening now. 2 years from now, you're not a student athlete, they won't know your name. Maybe if you win a championship, maybe. But other than that, they won't. All right, so I want you to benefit from this time right now. That means resources, that means contacts, that means networking ability. You got to jump on it right now because there are so many people that are willing to pick up the phone and talk to you now because you represent a university. And I want to slow down because I'm talking fast. When I say you represent a university, that means all the alumni that came through that university, you represent them. That means anytime they get any type of positive publicity on TV, you represent them. Anytime they get any negative, you represent them. You represent them, and people are happy to work with you. There are more people out there happy to work with you than not. So make sure you jump on this opportunity while you have it. And again, I can't say this again. I can't say this enough. Your coach is not your father figure until proven. Okay? Proven to be so. Or mother figure until proven. And I'm not trying to say they're bad people. I would not have made it half as far as I made it without my coaches. Love them. Love them. Even the ones that didn't start me, even the ones that I didn't get in playing times with. It's not your coach's job to like you. That's another ugly side. I hear people all the time that try to blame it on their coach. Like, man, why you ain't playing? Well, I ain't getting enough playing time, dog, because coach don't like me. Coach don't like you. Let me tell you something. This is the ugly thing about being a student athlete, but it's about life as well. It's not your coach's job to like you. It's your job to be likable. You need to find out what he don't or what she don't like about you and fix it. You got to learn how to work with people that don't like you. That's a life hack. You think when I go home, you think I can tell my wife that, I quit my job because they don't like me? Or do you think those bills are going to still need to be paid? You got to figure it out because you're an adult. Don't give me no bull crap about, oh, well, he doesn't like me, she don't like me, therefore I'm not successful. It's, what did he say? It's giving victimhood. That's what it's giving. It's giving victimhood. It's giving you are training to be a victim in life. It's training that you're always going to be playing in reaction mode to life instead of punching life in the face and saying, I'm here. All right, wake up. I'm here now. That's the mentality you need to do. You need to be on offense, not defense, not retreating, not waiting on someone to do for you. He doesn't like me. Who cares? You're wasting time. Another thing I would say, all degrees aren't equal. I know there's pressure. You want to play your sport, but I encourage you, Don't pick a major that's the equivalent of wash your hands with soap. Something that's going to keep you eligible, but not something that's going to feed your family. Don't pick a major, communications or any kinesiology. Don't pick that. Because the fields that you would go into with those majors, you could have gone into with another major that's more concrete. It's hard out here, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard out here. It's unforgiving out here, okay? I need you to understand that this matters. And this is the thing that ticks me off, is when we're in practice and a drill is tough, you don't just drop the class. You don't just drop the class. When we're in practice and it's and practice is tough, you can't just drop practice and say, all right. But you can do that with class, and people allow you to do it. And I'm telling you to figure it out. Don't be so quick to drop a class. Stick it out, apply yourself. It's pot caught in the kettle black here. I've dropped a class or two. I didn't have a big brother Bill. I didn't have someone that been there and done that before. I was the first one in my family to go to college and play sports. I didn't have anybody to call. It was the blind leading the blind. You don't have that excuse. You don't have that excuse. Don't be dropping classes unless you absolutely have to, because you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, did I really apply myself? Or did I wait till the last minute to study? Or did I not study at all? Ask yourself that question. Did I seek out tutors? Did I do the extra work? Because when you don't cut it in practice, you got to do extra work. You stay late, you come in early, you work with the trainer, you work on your mobility, all that stuff. You got to do that same stuff when it comes to your grades, man. That's the ugly side of it. I can just go off the dome for a few more. Now that's from my mind. Another ugly side of it is some of your professors won't like you. They'll have preconceived notions about you simply because you're a student athlete, because student athletes, sometimes they get labeled as being prima donnas. They get labeled as being spoiled. They get labeled as being catered to. And some of those shoes fit. So you got to understand that now everybody's going to be rolling a red carpet out for you, like, right this way. We were waiting. Not everybody. Some people will, but some people won't. So what? When you have road games, everybody's not going to be cheering for you. Do you cancel and just go back to the bus, go back to the plane? No. So don't feel like that when it comes to your freaking professors. It's not their job to like you. It's not their job to like you. It's not their job to like you. And you got to be okay with that. Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is life. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you're going to see once you get outside the bubble of your university. Because you're in a bubble now. There's mistakes they allow you to make in that bubble that if you made those mistakes outside that bubble, it'd be a lot more grim for you. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to wake you up. That I know everybody think it's sweet about being a student athlete, but there's some things about being a student athlete that's not so sweet. There's some things that, let me think. I just not thought about something else. Depending upon the sport, you may miss out on some holidays. Your breaks may be shorter, including summer breaks, may be shorter. Christmas breaks, winter breaks, depending upon if you may be shorter. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with that? Being a student athlete, it is the most amazing things I've had to happen to me in the college setting. But don't get it twisted. It can be looked at as a job. It can be looked at like a lot of pressure that's put on you. I don't think that's an excuse. I think it's fun. I think it's fun. It's fun. But the basketball side of it, or the sports side, for me was by far the easiest. What's not easy, the ugly side that they don't tell you about, is the mental health piece that you got to deal with. Okay? Making sure your mental health is right. Understanding that there's things that's happening at home. Your mom and dad could have got divorced. They could have lost the house. You lose a loved one, right? Your car's not working. There's things that you have going on other than being. The sport is like refuge. The sport is like, I can excel. But there's so much stuff. Dating, your girlfriend, she don't like you no more. She says she wants somebody with a hairline. I don't know. There's lots of things that can happen outside of your sport that makes it difficult. Coaching changing. It's a lot of things. How are you going to deal with that? How are you going to deal with that? I'm not proposing you should know the answers to all these questions. I just want to scare the stuffing out of you right now. And the real ones will stay. And the ones that are soft as wet toilet paper, they'll leave. And that'll be more opportunities for those ones that are serious about it. And make no mistake. You're going to have to be serious about this. And if you're not serious about this, there's always a new freshman coming in the next year.